Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Shooting the with Yankee. As always, I'm Yankee, so let's start shooting. Today, I want to hear your all's opinions on the Hearing Protection Act and the Short Act being stripped from H.R. 1, the one big beautiful bill, the budget reconciliation bill in the Senate. It's been stripped out completely. Neither of those things will be in the bill now. And what I want to know is, are you surprised? Do you think the Republicans ever actually made a valiant effort to pass this? Or was it a trick to just get support for the bill because of all the other stuff that was in it? They were trying to keep conservatives from paying attention. You know, just what do you think? Will they stand back up for it, try to get it put back in? Or was this just a game all along to them and they never really intended to pass it? Let me know. I will start us off by saying, I tried to be as positive as I could about it. But I kind of knew from the beginning that it would probably get pulled because this is a budget reconciliation bill, and they do this stuff all the time. Usually when they attach things to stuff like this, they have one of two things they want to happen. They either want to get the bill passed with something nefarious in it they don't want to tell you about, so they attach it to something like a budget reconciliation bill, but then they're very hush-hush about it. Or they put something onto it, and they're very vocal about it, but they want it to be pulled out, and so they can say, oh, well, we tried. They don't really want it to get passed. I think in this case, it was the latter. I don't think they ever really intended to give us back anything. I think they're true masters, the 1% in this country that control every aspect of our country now. They don't want this passed. So we're like, okay, you can give people a little bit of lip service and put it in a bill, but we know it ain't going to stay in there. It's going to come out, and you can at least say I tried. But no, you are not giving back the unwashed 99% any of their rights that makes them capable of fighting back against the 1%. That's just how I feel about it. I think they knew this from the beginning. I don't think they had any intentions of giving us anything. And no, I'm not surprised. I have been trying to be optimistic because, pessimism is not doing anyone any good. And like I've said in my video today, it's not going to be my problem much longer. I'm old. I'll be dead soon. So I've stopped letting this kind of thing tear me up. But it is disappointing. So let's go see what other people have to say over here. If they agree, disagree, or what? Or what, as we say back home. What? Let me tell you a story in between the two chats today. When we get to between this chat and the open chat, I'm going to tell everybody a story. Edgar Cortez was the first one to weigh in, and he's been on a spending spree today. Like I said, I think one of his rich relatives died or something. He did a donation to TYMP. He did a chat here, and he bought a couple shirts. So he's living high on the hog. Either that or he stole somebody's credit card. One or the other. Edgar Cortez says, I am not optimistic about HPA being restored, and given the paranoia of the government and citizens, I am not surprised that it was stripped. Well, I don't think many of us are. I wish I could say most of us were surprised like that, because that would imply this isn't the norm, that they don't play these games all the time, but I think it's what everybody expects now. I think they just, whenever the government looks like it's doing something for the people, I think they always know there's got to be some aspect of this that's benefiting the 1%, and we really won't get the benefits we're promised. They're playing some kind of game. I think that's getting to be the norm, unfortunately. Sean Bain said, I am not surprised by this at all. The government giving us freedoms back, highly unlikely. It's kind of my opinion also. It seems like we're of like minds on that. We're in the club beat us. So, sure, we are in like minds. Practical Bacon weighed in, says, if this surprises you, you are dumb. Well, it didn't surprise me, so I ain't dumb. I isn't the dumb. So you don't call me dumb. That was Practical Bacon. Then Mike White used his 28-month WAP chat to chime in and say, we got the Montreal screw job on it. Although I don't know if it really be counted as a Montreal screw job unless we're Bret Hart. But if you look at the politicians as being Bret Hart, or the Republicans as being Bret Hart, and the Democrats as being Shawn Michaels, well, that would mean the Republicans weren't in on it. I think the Republicans were in on it. But if you're thinking the gun owners, we're Bret Hart, and we're out there actually fighting for something. And the Republicans or Congress as a whole are Shawn Michaels, well, then, yeah, I think that does make sense. And Vince McMahon is the 1% that actually controls the government. Mr. Furley says, no, the big, beautiful bill is for the rich, not us. It is looking that way, that most everything in that bill does benefit the 1% more than anybody else. Now, sometimes things will definitely benefit rich people more than anybody. Like if you said, okay, everybody saves 1% on their taxes. Well, of course, that benefits the richer people more. But usually that's not the case. Usually it just says, we're giving $10 billion of tax breaks and all of it goes to the wealthy, even though they make more. Instead of saying we're giving tax breaks and it's going primarily to people who have lower income and they'll get more of the money back they pay in because they needed to have a livable wage. Whereas the people that are raping the country and profiteering off of everybody else's losses and raiding pensions and stuff like that, they make more than enough. They don't do that. Not surprised. It's what we get for daring to hope. Well, I mean, we got to keep hoping, I think. I mean, if you stop hoping, then what's the point? I mean, I got a few more years probably. I don't think that's wood, but just in case there. So I got to try to keep some hope. You know, I'd like to think that all this time and effort I've spent trying to be a benefit to the Second Amendment, trying to spread awareness for the Second Amendment, trying to grow the tent of the Second Amendment, I would hate to die thinking, well, you know, I just wasted all that. I would like to actually hope to see that it meant something. You know what I mean? Probably won't, but I can hope. You know what they say, hope in one hand and shit in the other and see which one gets full faster. But I'm still going to keep hoping. Paulie B says, like Paulie D, but Paulie B. You know who Paulie D is? Paulie Dangerous. Paulie Dangerously. Hail Phil, it was just a bargaining chip. I could see it as possibly, yeah, bargaining chip. But I think it was just they never intended for it to pass, period. And I do think it was a distraction so that a lot of people who are more conservative supported the bill. Because we even had people in here that were saying, I don't like the provisions about big corporations being allowed to rape public lands. And they keep all the profit. We just suffer all the damage. I don't like the fact that they're taking a lot of the checks and balances off the executive branch. You know, a lot of conservatives would have had a problem with that. But instead of paying attention to that, they were like, woohoo, we're getting rid of the NFA. So I think that was a lot of it. Iowa Joe said they were window dressing to make people think they were doing something for us while trying to give more money back to the rich. Yeah, but that's business as usual in Washington. I like when people pretend that, oh, the Republicans are the party of the rich. Well, they are. They're the party of the oligarchs. They love oligarchs. They're all for oligarchies. Whereas the Democrats are the party of the corporations. They like corporatocracy. They like corporations that make all the products and make the money. They like them running the country. So they're the one, they do everything for the corporations, the big businesses, the insurance companies, the medical companies, all these things. That's Wall Street. That's who they serve. The Republicans serve the rich people that own the corporations and own all the stocks on Wall Street and everything. So tell me at the end of the day, how different are they really? There is no party for the working man. That doesn't happen in a two-party system. Edgar Cortez chimed in again. Told you, I think he had a rich relative die today. Both political parties have failed us in our budget woes, capitulation to the rich oligarchs, as well as gun rights. They failed saying that they failed us as, as far as the budget goes because of their capitulation to the oligarchs, and they failed us as far as our gun rights go. Yes, Republicans are not helping us against the oligarchs. They serve the oligarchs, and they are not helping us with our gun rights. They just give us lip service. I loved how everybody thought a billionaire who has a history of being anti-freedom and anti-gun was suddenly going to become the savior of the Second Amendment. I think that's funny in a way. It's funny and it's sad, both. I don't know which one it's more of. But Donnie W says, can't let the dog catch the car like they did with abortion. Got to keep us struggling for our rights while they loot the country. Yeah, with the abortion thing, it kind of blew up in their face a little bit. They're still fighting about that. They're worried about that come midterms. So that's what happens when you, as you said, let the dog catch the car. What's he do with it? George Powell chimed in and said, ours won't even fight to save democracy. And then he put a little poop emoji. At first I used to think that was an ice cream emoji when I first saw it. Thought that was chocolate ice cream. I'm like, where's the vanilla ice cream emoji for people who like vanilla ice cream? And then someone's like, oh, that's a shit emoji. I was like, oh, that makes sense. That's why there's no cone, I guess. But put it on a cone. Suddenly it looks delicious. Of course, that's what the government's been doing to all of us for years. They've been taking that shit, putting it on an ice cream cone, making you think it was something for your benefit. And unfortunately, a lot of people are just sucking them down. They're like, it tastes funny, but they told me it's ice cream. Ghost Shadow said, never expected it to make it through. Of course not. You're an old cynic. You old cynic. You're not exactly a voice of positivity. What are you doing in here? Get out.
Giving you that back.
You want another smack? Get out of here.
Put this on, it was a pain.
What is? Oh, the back strap. Okay. Yeah. Don't go. I don't want them knowing what gun you got yet. I ain't told nobody. But he punched me in the face earlier. That's the story I'm going to tell you later. Little jerk. That was Johnny. That was Ghost Shadow. Then we got Johnny Mandrick weighing in. We got one more person after him, and then we'll be done here. Johnny Mandrick says, if you actually read the Byrd Act, she is doing her job. If the Republicans want it in, they have ways to put it back in. I unsubbed and closed Patreon to 2 gun channels today over them calling for her to be fired. Well, that's the GOA stance that they're putting out for everybody right now. She's a partisan act and she needs to be fired. That's something, the pro-Republicans, they knew that it violated the Byrd Act. They knew it would get pulled out. This is not something that caught them by surprise. This was their reaction. They were planning when it happened. These are partisan lying pieces of shit. So, yeah, those people need to be. That's how we need to speak up against these foul-mouthed, divisive, fear-mongering people. It's just unsub from their channels. Stop watching their videos. I stopped. I used to watch them just so I'd know what to talk about, what people were talking about. Now I'm just like, no. As long as I'm watching their channels, I'm spreading their voice. And I just don't want to watch their channels anymore. They're a bunch of lying cowards. So fuck them. And everybody knows who I say the lying cowards are. Just ask me, I'll tell you. Well, I won't tell some things because some things I'm afraid I'll get sued over. But I know a lot of things. Let's just say that. That's why they don't like me. But yes, the Byrd Act very clearly would disqualify this. Micah D. Excuse me. When have they done anything for the Constitution or the people? Been a long time. It's been decades. I think probably the last time the government ever worked for the people was pre-Reagan. That's when it turned around to completely being between corporatism and oligarchy. I thought she said it had to have 60 votes to pass. Remember, SCOTUS will save us. Getting it back in has to have 60 votes to pass or changing it. I don't know. But I'm not sure about the process of getting it. They'd have to be reworded. It'd have to be tied to the budget somehow. They'd have to emphasize a different aspect. They'd have to go about putting it in the bill in a different way. But I don't think that any of them plan to do that to begin with. So I don't think they care how you would do that either. They planned on it dying and they already had their response ready when it did. And they already had their scapegoats and everything. Remember, SCOTUS will save us. Well, they'll give us a good ruling, but will anybody ever enforce it? Right now the politicians are trying to make it to where even if the SCOTUS rules on something, they can't enforce anything on us. So they can't make us obey the rule because there's no checks and balances. That's one of the things that's in this bill. So that looks like that's it for us today. I don't think anybody was surprised in here. I don't think a lot of people had high hopes. I mean, we were being hopeful, and we can still be a little hopeful, but let's not do it to the point where we're idiots. And let's not believe all the bullshit about, oh, they tried their best and, ooh, we got thwarted by them crafty Democrats. No, that ain't what happened at all. Anyone tells you that, they're lying. They're lying, and they're probably one of those bottom feeding, divisive fear mongers that I cannot stand. So ignore them. But thanks everybody for coming in and participating. I just wanted to see what everyone thought. How about you out in YouTube land? What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you want to weigh in on one of these topics in person, come into our live chats. We do them every day at 6 p.m. First, we do the shooting the shit with Yankee, and then we do an open chat. So everybody stick around for the open chat. We'll start it up here in just a second. And you don't got to go nowhere or do nothing. We just transition. So thanks everybody for being here. Hope to see everyone for shooting the shit again tomorrow. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again. Hey everybody, Yankee here. Before we go, I just want to take a second to remind everyone that this channel is 100% viewer funded. We don't take a penny from advertisers, retailers. We don't take money from political organizations. There's no one telling me what I need to tell you. Everything that we do is done through the generosity of our viewers, either buying merchandise or becoming a patron or a Subscribe Star member. You're all the ones that support Pets and Vets and TYMP. And that's the reason I can stay true to myself and loyal only to the people who watch my channel. And I can spend my time talking about what I want to talk about, telling what I think needs to be said, and giving you my uncensored take on things I think you need to hear. So if you'd like to help keep things that way, please support the channel by becoming a patron, a Subscribe Star supporter, or just going over to my web store and buying some merch. The links are all in the upper corner of this video.